Hello everyone, welcome back to Ketchup Court TV. I go by the name of Heinz, your friendly neighborhood ketchup man, and we are here to catch up on the Nicholas Kassotis trial. We are currently on day 3, so if you've missed any of the action, if you've missed the last few days and you can't watch the entire full 7 hours of trial, or you just want to hear my opinions on the case or an opinion of a layman, you are in the right place. And I appreciate every single one of you that have tuned in to the Ketchup Court podcast to basically go over this case. Before we continue, for those that may be joining us for the first time and not know what this case is about, Nicholas Kassotis was arrested in Pennsylvania and extradited back to Liberty County in Georgia, in Savannah, Georgia. I believe it's Savannah, Georgia. But the main point is he's on trial for the dismembering of his wife. The state believe he is responsible for her murder, so they brought malice murder charges amongst other charges on top of that regarding this trial. So from day one, a lot of technical witnesses have been presented, including the eyewitnesses who saw the body and what had reported to the police what they have seen, the police doing all their investigation. All of those witnesses were introduced on day 1 and day 2. Nothing really explosive until today. Today is when a lot of the explosions happen, where I personally believe we're now getting into the meat of the case. We have heard the testimony from Mindi's mother and father today, and I can't wait to get into it. But before we do get into it, let's go through all the witnesses. Let's just recap a bit on day 1 and day 2. We heard the key testimonies that I can recap or bring you back on is the testimony from Brett Dickerson, who was the special agent GBI, and he was the one that basically oversaw the collection of a lot of the evidence regarding the torso being collected, the leg being collected, and the arm being collected. The legs was found, I believe the leg was found on December 2nd, and the torso was found on December 2nd, and the leg was found on the 5th of December, 2022. All of this is pretty critical to put in the timeline to when this murder probably occurred. And so a lot of the testimony was around what happened that day, because there's no eyewitness in regards to this crime. No one saw this crime happen. So a lot of the evidence that is being put on is circumstantial evidence, but it does look bad. I will admit it does look bad for Nick. So I'm very interested to see how his defense attorney, Doug Weinstein, argues or puts on this case, because he, in my opinion, he has done a pretty good job in handling Brett Dickerson and using him to show potential failures in the investigation, to show that they were basically narrow-minded and didn't really consider other possibilities. It is a defense for a case like this where there is no eyewitness and you are looking at the one person that's likely. So, but a lot of the testimony that has come out today has shed a bit more light on why the state believes that this individual, Nicholas Kassotis, is the one that committed this crime. So, so that's Brett Dickerson, another witness that was brought on that I thought from day two anyway, that I thought that was really key was the criminalist, the individual that was doing the DNA testings, and it was pertaining to her testimony that she really hoped. I believe her name was, I'm trying to get it here. I believe her name was Lindsay Smith, and she basically testified that she was hoping that they done further testing in some areas. So that was her testimony. Anyway, we done a day two recap on this. You can go check it out on by checking out the playlist. Is in the description. We also looked over the salesperson's testimony, who was a person that sold Nicholas Kassotis his brand new Ford Explorer, 2002 model. He bought it brand new, and the state is actually alleging that this Ford Explorer was burnt by Nick to remove any evidence that could tie it back to him. So yeah, so there is that fact that we still have to look forward to, because that is the state's theory of the case. But anyway, like I said, we've gone through all of this on the day one and the day two recap. So let's go into today's recap, day three. So who were the witnesses that came up today? All the witnesses that testified today was Michelle Shepard. She is the forensic DNA analyst. James Frost, he is the lead investigator or the detective in this case. Vaishnavi Khare, I butchered that name, but she was the Airbnb operator who rented out the Airbnb to Nick when they needed to stay from the months of June 2022. I believe they stayed until November or December or something around that time. But she basically testified that they only stayed in the Airbnb for 3 months. So that was the witness up. Then we heard Tara Ransom, who was the forensic biologist, who is from the GBI crime lab. She specified mainly on she specializes. I meant to say in regards to DNA testing and all of that. So she basically gave testimony to that. Then we heard from Betsy Mebane, and we also heard from Frank Mebane III, who is the husband of Betsy. Both of them are parents to Mindi Kassotis, who is the deceased or the victim in this case. So we're going to focus more on the parents' testimony. But Michelle Shepard, I did see, but I want to go back to Michelle Shepard's testimony for the forensic analyst. Yes, most of his testimonies until the parents were just foundational to bring in evidence that could show the integrity of the investigation, to show how they were limited, to basically give an overview of the case. But Michelle Shepard, let me just share the screen so that you guys can see. Michelle Shepard testified. Oh, before we do continue, I keep forgetting. I don't want this video to get lost in the algorithm. So make sure that you hit that like button. It would help us out a lot. Hit that like button so that people can discover our stream, so that you can help out with the YouTube algorithm. Let people know that we are catching up on the Nicholas Kassotis trial. Don't forget to share this video as well. If you're watching this back on replay, welcome to the stream. Let me know how you're feeling in the comment section. And if you're lurking in the chat, say hi. I don't bite. I'm actually a very nice person. So yeah, let's just continue with this. So Michelle Shepard, she was the one that was analyzing the tissues. She is specializing on analyzing organs tissues, etc. And she was tendered as an expert. She also says. She also testified to the genealogy testing of Mindi Kassotis. So she was the one that pretty much would have been responsible for actually tracing down the parents to actually identify Mindi, because she was so dismembered to a point, she was so decayed to a point that you can't visually identify her. So that's how gruesome this is. It goes into the malice murder element. Most of these witnesses that was presented, especially yesterday's witness of Lamar. I forgot his name, but he's Keith Lamar. He's the medical examiner. He went into the injuries to the body, so he helped a lot with that malice murder element. She also testified that cleaning fluids would diminish greatly when it comes to DNA. Say like for example, wiping it and causing friction. That was the testimony from that she gave. So yeah, so that goes into the wipes that was found on the scene regarding the knife. So this would be the dismembering of the knife. Something that I thought was really interesting. Of course, they tested. I would assume that they test that the wiping would have taken care of the blood, all of that, and it wouldn't have just wiped the handle, but it would have wiped the shiny part as well. Something that has always intrigued me is, especially when they showed the wipe with Keith. Not Keith. With Brett Dickerson, when they showed the wipe, it was green. So not red, not blood, it was green. So you would imagine that if you're dismembering this body, there will be a lot of blood on it. So if you're wiping it off, it wouldn't look like grass. That's what I got from it, and it just hit me today. I was like, yeah, why did it look green? Why didn't it look red? Why didn't it look bloody? So I don't know how they're going to explain that. I don't know, but I thought that this witness would have explained the differences and the different and color changes, all those things, but that didn't really happen. What essentially happened is that sometimes blood can lose its color and turn a bit darker in red, something like that. So I personally thought this witness might have been the best person to have explained those changes, at least DNA wise or something like that, but that didn't happen. So that was one failing that I thought that I thought the prosecution basically erred on, because it just bolsters the defense theory that anyone could have bought a knife and all this is circumstantial. So just because you had the knife and the wipe there does not necessarily mean that it was used for the purpose of the crime. And the fact that I saw no blood on it, maybe if a jury member picks up on that, this might cause reasonable doubt. But yeah, that was the bulk of her testimony. The cross-examination, the defense highlighted that, of course, sunlight can break or destroy DNA and all of those things, and they brought up something that I thought was brilliant, and it goes back into what they were saying yesterday in regards to Brett Dickerson's testimony. I thought about it immediately, and it goes back into what was brought up regarding the trash with Brett Dickerson and how he was overlooking picking up some of the trash, and he overlooked picking up the beer bottles that was on the scene. So this cross-examination was really key in highlighting that. Let's watch.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Doug Weinstein. I represent Mr. Kissotis in this case. You were talking about contact DNA or touch DNA. If I pick up a bottle of Coca-Cola and I drink it, will I leave DNA around that bottle?
Theoretically, yes.
where would that DNA be found on the bottle?
It could be found around the rim where your mouth has contact and where you grasp the bottle to drink it.
Would any possibly be found inside the bottle as well?
It's possible.
Okay. What about with a Coke can? Would you find DNA around that Coke can as well?
Again, similarly, it would depend, but around the mouth area where you take a drink and then where it's handled to pick up the can.
And you said that, I guess the elements like water or rain could in some way impact the finding of DNA, correct?
Yes.
But it's still possible to find DNA on a bottle or a can that has been exposed to the weather, correct?
Sometimes, yes.
And even if it's exposed to rain, correct?
Sometimes, yes.
Sunlight, correct?
Yes, sometimes.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Is it also sometimes no?
Correct.
So you don't know unless you actually have it, is what it comes down to, right?
And we perform the test. Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know why the state would have asked that final questions. I mean, the cross was bad enough. Yes, the cross was good enough that it does, again, raise that reasonable doubt. Wait, they didn't do a thorough enough job to actually collect a lot of DNA that they could have actually definitively tied this person or eliminate other people, eliminate our subjects, and possibly found other subjects that could have been linked back to this body. So not only was that cross good enough to highlight what has already been set up before, what this testimony right here, especially that redirect, she could have just left it as sunlight could have also destroyed it, and thank you, that's it. But what I know is that she asked, let's just go back to what she asked.
Have it is what it comes down.
Correct.
So you don't know unless you actually have it, is what it comes down to, right?
And we perform the test.
What?
Yes.
Why would you ask that question when you know that the witness from yesterday, I forgot her name again, but she was part of the criminal lab that was hoping that they have DNA for the wipes, that was hoping for that. And you also have that they should have picked up some items, especially this one where DNA could have been left behind. Why would you leave it in the heads of the people that unless they have it, it would have been important to figure this all out? I thought, in my opinion, this was in all honesty a bad recross. In my opinion, saying that, Lindsay Smith, thank you so much, Trial Channel. Hey, Lexley Law Nerd, I appreciate you for dropping by. After lunch, it was a lot. Yes, it was. I can't wait to get on to the parents' testimony. I have a lot to say. But before that, I want to go to James Frost's testimony, who was the lead investigator. And he was the one that basically just went through everything that Brett went through. Who was a special GBI agent from day one. He just basically went through that, and also went through the fact that they interviewed Nicholas Kassotis with Agent Science. I'm pretty sure Agent Science is going to provide testimony. I'm guessing is going to be tomorrow, probably the first witness up. But yeah, he performed the interviews, and they just went through the fact that they read out. Let me just see. Okay, my chart is not coming out, so I can't see. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, my bad. There we go. Yeah. So what was I saying? Something has happened. Yes, that I just had to fix that quickly. What was I saying? So the next witness was, like I was saying, James Frost, and he went through the interviews, and they said that they read him his rights. The lawyer did not, he consented and waived all of his rights, so he didn't have a lawyer present. He gave them he gave them his thoughts, etc. The Miranda rights, all of those things were read out to him. So essentially, they did everything by the book. And maybe they have something to introduce in regards to what he said. If he doesn't take the stand, that is, they could do that. And we just have to wait and see if that's the case. We just have to. I don't know what's gonna happen, but most likely. But we didn't hear anything of the audio in regards to this whole interview. They normally play it. We're seeing it in a lot of trials. The last trial that I saw, the agent interviews, was in Karina Cooper, but it happens in a lot of trials. So I was pretty surprised that this lead detective went through the whole, and he wasn't played. Maybe they're gonna bring it in with Agent Science. Maybe he's the one that done the recording, so they want to bring it through him. So I'm not saying it's not gonna happen. I was just surprised that it didn't come through him, because that also happens as well. So that was, they done 2 interviews, one on the 11th of May 2023, one on the 26th of May 2023. So that was a follow-up interview after the 11th of May interview. Keep this date in mind, really keep this date in mind, because it's going to be very key to tying all of this up. And is going to highlight, in my opinion, the defense theory of the case and what they're building up to, because a lot of the cross-examination from the defense has been building up to a third-party theory and also tunnel vision, basically. So that is essentially why these dates are very important. But he presented testimony in regards to purchases made of latest gloves, knife, wipes, all of those things. Now, the fact that he bought latest gloves and then still bought the wipes and brought the wipes to the scene, you're already like, come on. Like, I'm not saying, by the way, this is just my analysis. I'm not saying he did it or don't do it. I don't care about that. I care about that after the closing statements are done. I'm just calling it as I see it. I think it's weird for you to buy latest gloves. I heard that. I could be wrong. If you like, I could be wrong. I may have misheard, but from what I remember, he said that he purchased, he bought a shovel on the 4th of November. Sorry, he bought a shovel on the 11th of August 2022. Then he bought a knife set, a carry-on bag, I believe he said, and he bought all of that on the 4th of November from Home Depot. So that was the bulk of his testimony. He then says that they went and something I thought was genius as well was something that happened with the salesperson that I thought they remedied really quickly, and it showed that the investigation will always be ongoing. I think this could be so it was in regards to the cross-examination of the salesperson, Mr. Hershey. I forgot his first name, but Mr. Hershey. So yeah, let's listen to what he has to say to rebut what came up in cross-examination yesterday.
The only recall I could locate was one.
And were you able to search for recalls using that unique VIN?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what was the result of your research?
The only recall I could locate was one for a rear bolt failure that would cause a vehicle to roll out of park.
And how recently did you perform that search?
Just last night.
Did you find any evidence of recalls for engine fires for that vehicle?
No, sir, I did not.
I think there's a matter we need to take up outside the presence of the jury.
All right, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because they done a bit of housekeeping here. So let's go into the next part of the testimony that I thought was key.
0.52, do you recognize that?
Yes, sir.
Where'd that come from?
It's a screenshot from my computer.
Would you read the contents of that to the jury, please?
Ford Motor Company, August 16th, Reuters. Ford Motor Company is recalling about 85,000 Explorer SUVs equipped with the Police Interceptor utility package over concerns of an engine fire, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said Friday. In the event of a motor failure, oil and fuel may be released into the engine compartment and accumulate near ignition sources, possibly resulting in fire, the regulator said. There's also a blurb for stay up to date, latest news trends. That's just Reuters. The recall affects SUVs from model years 2020 to 2022, equipped with a 3.3 liter hybrid and gasoline engines.
So you have the purchase documents of the vehicle that was sold to the defendant in this case. Is
They're in
that
the
correct?
file. Yes, sir.
Did that vehicle purchased by this defendant have a police interceptor package?
Not according to the bill of sale, no, sir.
Did it have a 3.3 liter hybrid engine?
No, sir, it did not.
That's all the questions I have.
That's hold up. There was no redirect after this. Oh, sorry. Wait, there was cross-examination. So let's go and watch the cross. But I thought that this was exceptional. In my opinion, they just went ahead and put it to bed right there and there. The recalls, I will hold it back, even if it's not. Even if they say that it was the police vehicle, that this was, the police the police interceptor that could cause vehicle, and it was hybrids, etc. All of those things. They only highlighted the police interceptor. They didn't highlight the hybrids, but they did say that the vehicle did not have hybrid capabilities or something like that, or hybrid engines. I can't remember the exact wording of that, but they did say that in this cross-examination. But if the defense has evidence, letter, something from the manufacturers regarding a recall, that is enough. That is enough. It just depends on what is in the content of that letter, because now the door is open for them to bring that in to rebut this. They have to. It can't be called hearsay after that point, because they have brought this in to rebut what they had brought in cross examination. I was saying I hope that they produce some form of evidence, because they only got the salesperson to say that there would have been recall notice of that vehicle bought. So that's all that came into evidence. So maybe this is a long play for the defense, that they will actually bring it in much later on when they show that the vehicle, or when they introduce Mr. Kissotis' vehicle being on fire. Maybe they'll bring it in then and say, actually, I don't know. But I'm saying if they have something to back up that recall, is important, because what the state has just done now has hit the reasonable doubt right out of the head in regards to the reasons why this car would have been on fire, and the theory that the state are put on to say that he likely burned this car is still very alive. That's still very alive, because now the jury has heard that it only affects basically police vehicles, so it's basically a police interceptor. So yeah, absolutely. Maybe like Alessi with the x-rays, maybe. So it just depends, because all of this, it must be in the discovery. It has to be. So it's not, so the state would know what's coming. So maybe they're hoping, maybe if there is nothing, it will come out. But I'm pretty sure that the state knows something is coming. Anyway, let's watch this cross-examination.
Why didn't you search in those other places?
The only reason why I searched at Home Depot first and only was because of the combination of that being found next to the Husky tote. And I knew Husky was also a brand that Home Depot carried.
So for if you missed it, I didn't want to go through the listing of the other stores that he could have searched, because that's what Doug Weinstein did. He says you didn't go to this store, you didn't go to this store, you didn't go to. It was actually becoming very funny when I was watching it, but he basically said that the only reason why they didn't do it because the branding on the knife was Home Depot. So he just went there, and then they uncovered all of this. This helps with the third party culprit victim that they zeroed in on Nicholas.
But you had no interest in checking out any of those other places where that Milwaukee tool could have been sold.
I did.
Oh.
You mentioned that you were present in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so we're not gonna go through this part, but essentially, what I wanted to highlight here is I would have loved him. I mean, I would have loved it if he asked the question, well, did you know that Mr. Kassotis is a frequent buyer at this store, for example, or something like that, to show that maybe he bought those items on a different day for a different purpose, something like that. But one thing that I think is very interesting from all of this is the fact that they have him buying these items, but he was also supposed to be on, living in fear, on the run, etc. So based on what's set up so far, it's looking pretty strong for the state. And and even though I thought that, even though this testimony, I mean, I didn't really think much of the cross, in my opinion. I thought, okay, for showing that they were solely interested in Nicholas. I thought, okay, fine. Despite showing that, I still would have liked them to go into that recall part. They didn't do that in this cross-examination, but this part took me out completely. This part completely took me out during the trial. Let's watch.
Collection, it was November 4th, 2022.
So November 4th, 2022. And how far in advance of that, how far in advance of finding Mindi Kassotis was November 4th, 2022?
We discovered her on December 2nd, 2022.
Okay. So roughly, can I say approximately a month?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a shovel?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you purchase it?
I did.
Okay. I've got no more questions.
Yes, sir.
No, and there was no redirect after this. But in my opinion, that I mean, it just, someone buys a shovel, and yet, okay, what does that actually mean? Like, you buy a shovel, you find the torso a month later. The greater the gap, the greater the doubt, because at the end of the day, why would you, like, it would make sense for you to buy the shovel, but you don't always use it for a purpose of murdering or hiding your tracks, etc. I'm not saying that the prosecution theory is falling apart, but it's pretty good to highlight that, in my opinion, and show the discrepancy in regards to the time frame in which the shovel was bought and the murder was committed, and all of these items that were supposed to be found on the scene was done. Anyway, the next witness was Vaishnavi Khare, who she was the Airbnb operator, and she just basically testified. This is what she looks like. Oh wait, that's not her. Oh, that's not her. That's the one. She just basically testified to the fact that Nicholas had told her or indicated that at this time Mindi was pregnant. This was supposed to be around the time of June for the 3-month duration. It wasn't given the specific time that Nicholas indicated this to her. Also, she testified that he moved suddenly from the house. On cross-examination, on direct examination before the cross, I should say, she said that there was a rug missing from the house. So this would suggest that something may have happened to that rug and Nicholas may have taken it, giving the idea that this is possibly, likely, a potential crime scene, or where the dismemberments had happened, and this is a man that was trying to cover his tracks because, of course, he stayed there from June 2022, 3 months, June, July, August, September. So that's September 2022, moved out to another location. Likely because of the decomposing and how the body may have done, it's possible that this may have been the place where she died. Possible, based on the insinuation of the rug, which is why I thought the highlight from the cross examination was gold. Let's go to it really quickly before we go into the parents' testimony, which is next. Can't wait for that. Let's go on.
Just that the lock on the up in the direct exam today, or on furniture. You also mentioned something else that didn't come up in the direct exam today. Did you notice that the lock on the front door was completely broken?
I don't remember.
Do you recall telling them that the lock on the front door was completely broken?
I don't remember that now.
Okay. Regarding the rug being replaced, can I ask you about that? When you have tenants, and how long have you had Airbnbs?
So I had this one, and then before that I took a break because I had a baby. So I had before that in Hawaii.
Sometimes do items in the Airbnbs go missing?
Correct.
Sometimes are they damaged?
Yes.
Occasionally will a tenant damage something and replace it with something else?
Never. Not usually.
But occasionally there are things that are damaged within the Airbnbs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Hold on. So I did miss an important part of my time stamp.
You recall saying that?
Yes.
And also that there was no smell of, you said that there was no overpowering smell of bleach. You recall saying that?
Yes.
And also that there was no smell of cleaners, correct?
Yes.
You also told the agents there were no stains on fabrics, right? Or on furniture. You also mentioned something else that didn't come up in the direct exam today. Did you notice that the lock on the front door was completely broken?
Okay, so we've already gone through that, so we don't need to hear more of that. But the main point in regards to the whole context being brought in is that it's unlikely that really unlikely that any crime or any killing had occurred at this B&B. Not only that, anyone could have actually entered the B&B because of the lock being broken, but she of course doesn't remember saying that, so I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt on that one. But at the same time, she also said that other items could have been damaged from the house, etc. So like that happens quite a bit. So in my opinion, all that's happened here, at least pertaining to the rug, it could have just been, I don't know. I actually have no idea why you would want to replace a rug, especially with a cheaper and smaller one. I don't know why that would be the case, but based on what's raised so far, at least the overpowering smell testimony and the cleaning product testimony, that isn't necessarily the case, because it wouldn't suggest that there was blood on the rug or anything like that he would need to get rid of. So I thought this was a good cross examination to remove that from the mind of jury. There was no redirect after this. Tara Ramson was the forensic biologist, GBI crime lab. and she gave testimony in regards to the DNA profiles that she collected, etc. We're not going to go through that. Very boring testimony, in my opinion. I don't want to go through it. It was something about septillion, being found on the tote. This was one of the one of the tubs that I believe was where they found the head or the leg or something like that. They basically found one of the tubs from the testimony that we heard from day one. So that was the bulk of her testimony. Now let's go to Betsy Mebane, who is the mother of Mindi. There was a lot from her testimony that we just have to go through it really slow to unpack what essentially happened, because after lunch a lot of the things, a lot came out. So, but make sure you hit that like button if you're enjoying the stream so far. If you are lurking in the chat, let me know how you're feeling. And if you're watching this back on replay, hope you're enjoying yourself. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling, and don't forget to share this so that you can help us out with the algorithm. But the most important part of our testimony, it really began with a bang, and it was when she testified that Nicholas was going to change his name, or saying that he was going to change his name to from Nicholas Kassotis to Nicholas Stark. Let's listen to that testimony. God. Oh, come on, don't let me down.
Is Frank the Fourth married?
He is.
What's his wife's name?
Megan Beckmeyer Mebane.
Okay. And what about Mindi? Was she married?
She was.
Who was she married to?
Nicholas Kassotis.
And did he have any other name that he went by when you knew him?
He started using the last name Stark.
So he went by Nicholas Stark at some point as well?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see him in the courtroom here today?
I do.
Can you point out where he's at?
Over there.
If the record can reflect, Your Honor, she is pointed at the defendant. When did you first meet Mr. Kissotis?
Let's see, they got married in 2016. That was probably maybe the end of 2014, maybe.
Okay, so this was a very long marriage. So this was 2014 to 2022, I'm guessing. So it was a very long marriage, and he basically started going on the run after this, and the run basically started from, well, at least going on the run, that started sometime in 2019. So they've been on a run for approximately 3 years or 4 years before this particular death, based on Betsy's testimony. We're not going to go through all of that, but there was key parts of a testimony, and I thought that part of the testimony, the way that it's been set up, is very good because of the fact that, well, changing your name and going by other names is very peculiar, but the way that it's been set up so far by the state is immense, and you're going to see why. But before that, let's just go through key parts, more key parts of her testimony. She also testified that Mindi had a miscarriage several years before she had actually died. So they were actually expecting to have a child by January 2023, January 8th, 2023, based on her testimony. And at this point, you have to really imagine at this point that likely Mindi would have been showing, but this pregnancy apparently was told to them by Nick on direct exam. She said that Nick told them about this particular pregnancy, and she also testifies that Mindi and Nick were fearful of for their lives because they had been hacked. She basically said that Nick was hacked, and he was supposed to be working for Microsoft, and he had solved an algorithm issue. So essentially, they were on the run because people were looking for him, and Microsoft, and him working for Microsoft, he needed security. She also testified that they started moving from Virginia in 2019, and they were communicating by the app that shall not be named, the Alan Jackson app Signal. They were communicating on the Signal app when they started moving around. So she also gave testimony that the security did not pay for the hotel that she was staying at, but it was actually her that paid for the hotel. She also said that they had put up a house for sale, and she never ever saw the security team. She only had emails from them. So I'm just going through my notes really quickly here to jog my memory. But anyway, she also said that she never met or seen anyone that Nick was Lexi the law nerd. Don't tell Hank Brennan. If Hank Brennan had this case, I would have been interested to see what would happen if Hank Brennan had this case on that Signal app. probably would have turned red and blew a blood vessel. Anyway, continuing on, she basically testified that she told him that she basically testified that she told him that she had told that Mindi. She basically testified that he told her, that Mindi had died, and this testimony blew me. Like, I'm like, what is going on here? So let's go and watch this part of the testimony, because this was, in my opinion, mind-boggling, and it kind of really threw me back a little bit. But at this point, this was around the time that they were at the Thanksgiving, around that point, November 24th, 2022. This was around Thanksgiving, so it's kind of weird that he said that Mindi had died at this point. Let's watch.
In the living room, the den or whatever.
Hi, Zach. Welcome. Listen, Turtle. No, there are only two turtles on this planet. There is Turtle Boy, who we know as Aiden Kearney, and then there's Turtle Girl, who is Ariana Jacob. Those are the two turtles I recognize. Turtle Girl and Turtle Boy. Ariana Jacob, as you might know, you might not know the reference to the joke, but essentially most of the Karen Reed crowd had gone to her because she was defending Fraser Baum. I'm going to be looking over that case when I start doing my weekly live stream. So yeah, I can't wait for that. But yeah, those are my two turtles. But anyway, let's continue with this direct examination. So this was when she testified that Mindi had died.
And
That she was told that Mindi had died.
tell us what's wrong.
From Nicholas Kassotis. Let me go back.
In the living room, I said, please come out and sit in the living room, the den or whatever, and tell us what's wrong. And so that's when, we all I could really understand was she's not coming home. So.
Oh yeah, before she broke this news, Nicholas had told her that she's not coming home, that she was crying, and he was crying at this fact that she's not going to come home. So already background here, a lot already is being made of this. Can be made of this, that this is basically guilty conscience or whatever.
Is that
And
when
he met Mindi.
Is that when he told you?
Yes.
And when he said she's not coming home, did you understand what he meant when he first said it?
No, not really. The way he was crying, I figured it was not good.
Okay.
So,
Did he eventually tell you she died?
yes. And he did not know he didn't know exactly what had happened. He said he'd been texting her all morning and she didn't answer, so he thought she was sleeping.
Okay. At that point, when he told you that she had died, did you have an opportunity?
Excuse me just a minute.
I do agree with you. I do think maybe they were too trusting. I'm like that sometimes. Like, if you tell me whatever you want to tell me, first face value, I'm gonna take it on. But yeah, I do think that they just went along with everything. Like, I was even hearing some theories in the chat that I was in earlier watching this trial. They were basically saying that the parents are in on it, and they all concocted to kill the daughter with Nick. I was like,
Was Mr.
okay,
Frank with you
we are going
when
on the
he
deep
told
end
you?
here. So
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So was the three of you in the room?
Yes,
Was there anyone else there?
just Rusty.
Okay. And at that point, you said that he didn't have any idea how or why she died?
That's what he said. He said he was going the next day and they were gonna talk to him and tell him what happened.
At that point, did he tell you what hospital?
No,
Did he tell you her doctor's name?
no,
Were you able to see her body?
no.
Did you ask why?
No, we talked about having a service or something after the first of the year, but with her being married to him, we thought that was his responsibility. We weren't going to say, hey, we want to take care of the body when she's married to him, so we thought he was gonna handle it.
And did you believe that he would take care of that?
Yes,
Did he indicate to you whether or not there would be a funeral service of some sort?
when we talked about it, he said, it would be after the first of the year, maybe we'd have some type of memorial service. And we said, okay.
Did that ever happen?
No,
Weird as heck. No funeral. Didn't see the body. Didn't go to the hospital. Didn't do all of this. I keep saying, I said it from day one. Based on the opening statements and the theory of the case, I was like, whoa. And even with the first presentation of evidence from Brett Dickerson, I was like, this is, or was it day two? I believe it was day one. But I was like, this is like Ace Attorney, you know, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, one of those turnabout series, that this is one of those cases in which you have to pull a rabbit out of a hat somehow from somewhere, find something that will just tie it all together and remove Nicholas completely out of this. So this testimony is bad. But then something happened that I thought, and that just didn't make sense to me. And it was in regards to, remember, she was receiving a lot of emails from security. Remember, she also said that Nick never sued the hospital or anything like that. It was as if nothing has happened. You know, they just went on with life. And then this testimony came in that blew my mind. Let's watch.
You were left at that location in Hilton Head, you and Mr. Frank.
in February, we were notified by his security team that he had been in a car accident and wasn't in very good shape, and we asked if we would be allowed to come and see him. And
Were you allowed to?
no.
Ultimately, was that communication over the phone, in person?
That was an email communication.
So you got an email notification from the security team that he had been in a terrible car accident?
Yes.
Was there any follow-up communication from the security team concerning his condition?
Yes, I believe it was several weeks later we were told that unfortunately he had died.
Was that also by email?
Yes, it was.
So the security team, did you know what agency or like what that was related to?
Are you talking about like who the email came from?
No, I mean
Or-
who the security team was specifically. Did he ever tell you, was that a government agency, a private agency?
No, we weren't told specifically.
Okay, and when you received those emails, did they come to your email?
Yes,
Did you preserve them and save them?
I did.
And at that point, did you believe that Mr. Kassotis had passed away and died?
I absolutely did.
Okay. Did you have communications with any of their friends and family concerning his death? Or was it with them? Sorry.
Well,
One second, let me rephrase that.
yes.
Okay, so this lawyer does something that she always does, which was rephrasing everything that she was going to ask, even though the witness hasn't said I didn't understand. So she was with this for a while. I'm not gonna go through it, but she did testify to communicating with Agent Sands, which I'm pretty sure Agent Sands is going to play the communication regarding that, and she also testified to receiving communications about the death of Nicholas in April 2023. So bear that in mind. He was in hospital badly injured after an accident from February 2023, then dies in April 2023. I thought this made absolutely no sense. I was thinking, how does this help your theory of the case? Because it sounds like it helps with Nicholas' theory of the case, that they were on the run and they were living in fear, and they had to lie. And they had to lie to many people to keep up with the anonymity. It makes sense that he wouldn't tell the mother here that they were obviously on the run. That he wouldn't tell the mother who the agency is or anything like that. So you gotta now put it into perspective, because this is February 2023, and April 2023 she died. Mindi is already dead at this point. The torso has already been found. They're still doing the investigation. They haven't done a press release yet, which was on May 2023. We went through the press release on day one recap. So that was in 2020. Can I even get it back? I don't think it's important, but I'm gonna try and get it back. But anyway, the press release was done in May 2023, I believe, and when Nicholas was arrested. So somehow they done all of this, and he says that he's dead. So at this point, based on the state's fear of the case, the one thing that's coming through my mind is the fact that based on the prosecution's fear of the case, he has already started a new life. He's already created a new identity for himself, and he's now moving on to go live with that new partner, which I believe there's going to be evidence from that partner coming in sometime, maybe. I don't know. There might be evidence from them to say that they were dating at this point or whatever. That might come in. I don't know. They might not. But that's based on what was promised in the opening statements. That's essentially the story. So I'm trying to think. I'm trying to marry the two together. So, because it doesn't make sense why he would just kill himself. And, why he would just say, not kill himself, unalive himself, as they would say. So the press release was on May 12, 2023. So all of this, it just seems like Nick was completely taking off, basically. Then we go into the cross-examination, and this cross-examination was basically that I thought they would ask a bit more questions. If I'm being honest with you, I thought that they would ask a bit more questions in regards to what had basically happened, and in regards to let me just try and find it for you. Okay, maybe I've gone too far ahead. But I thought the cross-examination left a lot to be desired. There was not a lot of questions in regards to the relationship or anything like that. Just they highlighted that. All I thought that was key from that was the defense highlighting that Mindi was the one that told her that she was pregnant as well as Nick. So I didn't know what this cross examination may have established. I was thinking maybe we will get more. That didn't happen. So now we move on. Yeah, I was a bit. I didn't get it, but maybe it would, make sense later on. Then Frank Mebane III came on and gave his testimony that I thought made sense in regards to the actions of the family, and also why Doug didn't cross-examining that vigorously, and maybe he just saved it for Mindy's father. So let's go watch bits of his direct testimony, because he had testified that they were moving big tubs, let me get to the right testimony, sorry. That they were moving big tubs around. Let's go to that testimony. Okay, yeah, I got the right one. I got the wrong one. Anyway, and if you remember, these tubs were found by the crime scene. By the crime scene agents, the people that were on crime scene, where they found the body intact, and he is now testifying that they had big tubs that they were moving stuff around in. So they're now putting into the idea into the jury's minds that these tubs were in the possession of Nicholas, and it could be the same tubs that the body was found. Let's watch.
Higgins Place in Hilton Head.
At first, they moved to a hotel that my wife got for them.
Okay. And did they go anywhere after that, if you know?
They went to another hotel, and then we went to 65th Street in Savannah.
Okay. Now there sounds like there was a fair amount of moving going on. Is that right?
Correct.
Do you know how the belongings got moved when people were moving about?
I know Mindy and Nick had tubs, big
What-
black tubs,
What kind of tubs were they? Can you describe them for me?
like big tubs that you put stuff in for like Christmas decorations, big, I don't know how big, they were big tubs.
Okay, and you're making some gestures with your hand, approximately
sorry.
as wide as my hands are. Is that correct?
Correct.
Would it
I'm
be fair to
sorry.
say about 3 to 4 feet?
Yes,
Okay, and they were tall and deep,
yes,
and that's about maybe 2 or 3 feet.
correct.
Okay,
And we heard testimony from Brett Dickerson about the tubs that was found, and we also saw the forensic DNA analyst give testimony to the tubs that she was basically scrubbing for DNA. There was no DNA found. So again, it brings up a lot of questions. If he's wearing the gloves to basically move these tubs, which would make sense. Of course, you would need to wear gloves to dispose of this body. Why would he not wear gloves with a knife? Why would he wear them? I'm trying to put it together. Maybe people make mistakes, and then he thought, let me go in barehanded to commit this crime. So anyway, so that's what I thought was interesting. But this testimony, in my opinion, does help the state a lot. He also testified that Mindy's health-wise, because of her health, she couldn't work. So she had health problems around this time. But again, is this actual health problems, or is it what Mindy was telling them because they were living in fear? We don't know. So he says that Mindy was always afraid, and he also said that they had to get approval from the security to do whatever, to move around, to do all those things, that they couldn't do anything in regards, that before they could move around. Then we heard testimony that Nick told him that he was working for Microsoft and he was working on something secret, so he needed a security team. So personally, we got a lot more context from Mindy's father in regards to what was happening in the home life compared to Mindy's mother, but the context was really, really key to at least explain what was going on, because apparently this security comes from the Microsoft team. Again, I believe this aids with the defense view of the case, that they were living in fear, because he's a lawyer. So why would he need to do this, and why would he need to lie like this so flagrantly? Like he clearly doesn't have the credentials to work for Microsoft, unless you're talking about the legal department. Then maybe. But the fact that she mentioned that there was an algorithm issue, so does that mean? I don't know. But I'll give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they thought he was working. For the legal department, and they saw something incriminating for somebody in the company, and they had to go into secret. We didn't get into more details about that. They split up, I think, between mom and dad. They split it up, I think. Okay, between mom and dad. Okay, I'm guessing you mean the state. But anyway, so he also testified, and this was the part that I thought was really key, because he testifies that Nick had changed his name around that time. So the mother didn't testify to this, but the father did. Let's watch.
At some point in time.
Okay, so let's go back. You're at the house in Savannah. Did Mr. Kassotis and your daughter ever talk to you about a change of name?
Yes.
What did she tell you specifically?
She told us that his name was going to be changed to Nicholas Stark.
Did she tell you why?
For security reasons.
Okay. And that name, Nicholas Stark, did he start using it?
Yes, he even got like a bag, like a briefcase like thing that had Stark on it.
Okay.
I remember that.
Did you ever receive any mail that said the name Nicholas Stark?
I never saw any.
Okay. What about Amazon packages? Did you ever receive any of those at the house?
Yes, they got plenty of packages.
Okay. And was there anything of note that was received in those packages to you? Anything that drew your attention?
Well, they got some clothes for like Mindy, that she really hadn't had any clothes in quite a long time.
Okay.
Like I said, the briefcase, other things, I don't remember exactly.
Okay. But you saw some things with the name Stark on them?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever meet anyone from the security team?
No.
So that's all we needed to hear in regards to that testimony. Got the name of Stark, was changing the name of Stark, using it in brand names, like branding it and putting on briefcases. That's aiding the defense here with the case, because he's doing all this, but at the same time it looks weird, because it sounds like he is the one to have been concocting all of this. And there is something that I want to touch on at the end of this, but at the end of his testimony and the end of the cross, etc., because his cross was a lot more desirable in my opinion. But there's something I want to touch on at the end of all this. But let me continue. So there was testimony that he gave in regards to Mindy. He testified that Mindy had died, basically, and this was around the time of Thanksgiving, because he said that Mindy was taken to hospital around the time of Thanksgiving. So this was, and Mindy had died in November 25th, 2022. So let's go watch that part.
During that time period?
Yes, once she came home, he left to go see, he told us to go see Mindy.
Okay. And
I just want to say something, because trial channel, I just highlighted something here, and she basically says, I wonder why they didn't also change the first name to Tony. To me, that's what I'm trying, like, it goes back to what you said earlier, that they didn't probe anything, because why would you need, why the surname only? Why would you not ask? Anyway, but But why would you just say a surname? That's just weird to me. But anyway, let's go. Let's go. Like it just makes him look like it just makes this whole situation look so much worse than it is. It makes him look like the worst planner there is to commit a crime, because a full name change would make more sense than a partial name change.
At that point, what was your expectation about Mindy? Was she coming home or staying at the hospital? What was it you believed was going to be going on?
I thought when she got better, she was coming back to the house.
Okay. And at that point, did Mr. Kassotis leave the residence?
Yes,
And where did you believe he was going?
to the hospital.
And at that point, what, if anything, happened after he left for the hospital?
Well, he came back home and he told us that she had died
Okay.
at the hospital.
Okay. Were you surprised?
Yes,
Okay. And at that point, did he tell you what happened?
well, that's a little fuzzy for me, but I do remember that it had said something to do with her blood pressure and somebody had left the room, and when they came back, she had died.
You indicated earlier that Mr. Kassotis was an attorney, correct?
Correct.
Did he discuss with you his concerns about her death at the hospital?
No, he told us he was going to go back and find out what had happened.
So when he first came home on the 1st, he didn't know what happened?
All he knew was that she had died, and he was very upset.
But he had no answers about what happened at that point.
No,
Did he have any paperwork at all concerning her death?
no.
I just got I just got the joke now. Tony Stark. Okay, I get it. I didn't get it before, but now I got it. Why did you change it to Tony Stark? Maybe he would have been too on the nose now.
Did he ever provide you with any paperwork concerning her death?
No,
Did he ever explain to you what actions, if any, he was taking against the hospital, given what he had described to you?
no, he didn't.
So he didn't explain all of these things. He didn't do all these things, and Mindy had died at this point. So the question is, the communications with the security team, did it stop? You would think at this point she's dead, but it didn't stop. Of course, we know that because of Mindy's mother's testimony, because of Betsy's testimony. So there was something here that was highlighted in direct examination that I thought was really interesting.
Emails with people that you believed were connected to the security team?
Yes.
How did you get that email address?
If I remember correctly, I think they sent emails to me and then I sent them back.
So you replied, basically?
Correct.
Okay. So you weren't the one that initiated it?
No, I had no idea who to send it to until I got something.
Did you use regular email to send those?
Yes.
What email did you use?
My email address.
Is that like a Yahoo or a
Yahoo,
Google? Or
yes.
which is it? Yahoo?
Yes.
Okay. So you used your regular Yahoo to communicate with the security detail?
Correct.
All right. So that was the bulk of his direct testimony. He did point out something on the director's testimony that I thought was really interesting, though, and that was the fact that he is a preacher or a minister at a church. So they just have a strong belief that when you die, that the body moves on to God for his, based on his beliefs. So because of that, they didn't inquire about the body. They didn't go for the funeral, all those things. When he made that testimony, it kind of makes sense why the mother, just maybe maybe it's their faith that sips over too much, that they just, it kind of makes sense because they just let people live their life, and and there are some denominations that I've heard of that don't even go to funerals or even have funerals. They just they either cremate or they just let let the system play out or whatever. Like they just have a I'm not part of this, so I don't want to speak for them. I'm not part of these dominations, so I don't want to speak for them. But you know, there are some out there that do things like this. So when I heard that testimony from him, the behaviors kind of make sense, and you know why they're so chilled about everything. And I thought I thought at least it gives context to Betsy's behavior and why she was crying and broke down crying after coming in, seeming not really affected, but the point that it hit her, that she started crying, was when she realized that she was lied to, basically, you know. So she started crying at that point, because it kind of reflects the faith element, because they really trusted them in everything. They didn't probe, they gave them their privacy. They were like, okay, these things happen, let's pray for them. They rather took that route. I'm guessing that's the route that they took, without hearing testimony about prayers or anything like that. So when I heard that from I forgot his name already. Damn, Mr. Mebane III. Frank. Is it Frank? Yeah, Frank. Yeah. So yeah, when I heard it from him, that kind of makes sense. On cross-examination, the defense was highlighting that every day from noon to 3, they would be told to leave the house, and at this point there will be incomings and outgoings. This is planting more seed for the third party culprit, because at this point they're trying to, in my opinion, lay the seeds that this was when he would likely be communicating with this Jim. What's his name? Is it Jim McIntyre? Jim McIntyre person. That they'll be communicating with this Jim McIntyre person. So it's going to their theory of the case and showing that there's possibly a third party culprit happening here, because they were still following the instructions of Jim McIntyre for 2 or 3 or 4 years. I don't know. And they were on the run since 2019. So this testimony, in my opinion, these two parents really helped with their theory of the case. But at the same time, it also helps massively with the prosecution theory of the case, because the same time, coincidentally, that Nick tells the parents, hey, your daughter is dead, and she was there at the hospital, they found her body on the 2nd of December 2024. So maybe he lied to them. So I'm trying to put it all together. The death may have happened on the 27th, maybe 28th, and thrown out and left out on the 2nd of December. Maybe left some time to decompose, but it just, based on the autopsy, it just wouldn't make sense for the hunters to testify that they found the body pretty quickly, and it was dumped on the same exact day. That just, you kind of need time for the rodents to come in and eat the torso and all those things, because I know that the leg and the head were found on the 5th. So that torso being eaten, we heard from Mr. Keith Lamar, the medical examiner, that the chest cavities where the heart was, that the heart was eaten, and all those things. I'm trying to reconcile that. You can't be on the scene for that long. You can't be on the scene and then the hunters find it. Pretty much, I'm going by the prosecution theory of the case. Like, with that much decomposition, it just wouldn't make sense. Maybe it got moved, because we did hear testimony from the investigator that the body was odorless. We heard that testimony, and with it being odorless, it sounds like it's fresh, because again, with the decomposition, the odor would have been gone at that point. But at the same time, I'm not an expert, so maybe the odor would have been gone after the whole decomposition and being left out to the elements. That's the part that's really bothering me. But I'm putting the timeline of the death around November 25th to 26th, 27th to 30th, because on the 30th he testified that Nick had helped him get when he had his hip surgery from the 30th to the 1st of December. So he has helped him, and yeah, so I would assume that he had already killed Mindi at this point. And then the defense also highlighted that Mindi was the person that told Frank about the Signal app, that she was the one to have basically downloaded the app for him, basically. And Mindi had told them that Nicholas was the one that was changing his name for the security reasons. So the idea that I'm getting from this is like, Nicholas was the one telling her to do all these things. Maybe that's what's happening. So a lot of questions brought out in cross-examination, in my opinion, based on this cross. The defense also highlighted that they went into the issue of litigation, and and this is where the fireworks really popped out. Let's go into it. And he's the last person to have given testimony today. So let's go into his testimony. Oh, I think I've gone too far. Let's go.
Had you known him to be a litigious person?
There we go.
6 years.
Okay.
You had known Nick in 2022 for how long?
6 years.
Had you known him to be a litigious?
6 years though just sounds inaccurate because they were married in 2014. So how do you not know Nick from then? But it shows you. I mean, I'm putting all together. He's probably known Nick for longer, unless Betsy was the one that knew Nick from 2024. Then she remarried and married this particular person, married Frank. Maybe. So I'll give the benefit of the doubt there that maybe he does know Nick for 6 years only, and Betsy was the one that knew him from 2014. But assuming that they were married, that Betsy and the father were married for a long period of time and they never split up, I would assume that it's 2014 that they would have known Nick.
Person? Had he been going around filing a bunch of lawsuits? As far as you know?
No.
Did he file any lawsuits prior to Mindy's death, as far as you know?
No.
Did you ask Nick, why aren't you suing that hospital?
No.
Were you on the phone when Frank IV was told about the death of Mindy?
No.
That was your wife that had made that call to Frank IV?
Yes.
Okay. What was Frank IV's occupation?
He's a policeman.
He's a policeman.
Yes.
Is he still a policeman as far
Yes,
as you
he
know?
is.
Where is he a policeman?
In Burnett Town, South Carolina.
And how long has he been a policeman for?
Over 20 years.
At one point, was Frank IV a policeman with, and I'm going to mangle this name, the Yemassee Police Department?
That's correct.
Am I saying that correctly?
That's right, yes.
And where is the Yemassee Police Department?
Yemassee is kind of right off of I-95 in between Savannah and Florence.
And was the chief of police at the Yemassee Police Department, was that Gregory Alexander?
Yes.
Who came to fame through the Murdaugh case?
Yes,
And he had worked for Chief Gregory Alexander, correct?
correct.
He'd been fired from that position in 2007?
Objection, Your Honor. This has no bearing on the case at hand.
The state is making a lot out of the fact that my client has prosecutorial and legal experience. So does Frank IV. He's very familiar with law enforcement as well.
It's irrelevant. The court's going to sustain the objection.
Yeah, so about this was the last part of the testimony. He's going to rest after this. Well, not rest, but he's going to let the witness go, and there was no redirect after this. But essentially, that was the bulk of the testimony. And I thought the fact that this family has links to the murder, like they have somebody that's linked to the murder case, that could. I don't know. Is it going somewhere? Because I want to know what it was going to be, but
I have no further.
I think he made a question. I think he made an argument in regards to the Fourth Amendment or something like that, but he abandoned the argument after it was sustained or something like that. Let me remind back just to correct myself.
The state is making a lot out of the fact that my client has prosecutorial and legal experience. So does Frank IV. He's very familiar with law enforcement as well.
It's irrelevant.
Okay, so I misunderstood the fourth part. So yeah, my bad. Let me just retract what I just said. But yeah, I don't see the implication either. I don't see it. Maybe they have something that might come back on later. Maybe that's what he was building up to. Because based on this testimony, and these are my final thoughts now, based on what's come out from these two witnesses and based on the seeds that have been planted from the parents, I think there's a lot of witnesses that's gonna come and testify for Nicholas Kassotis. That's what I'm thinking. That's just what I'm thinking. You don't make this much inferences. You don't lay this much seed just to have no testimony from Nick. Maybe we might get no testimony. I don't know. But just to have no witnesses come up, So there could be something there, but I do think that it's kind of the thing that I noticed a lot that I thought it was a state failing was the fact that they didn't ask any question to either parents. Did Nick ever had your email addresses? If they asked that question, did Nick have your email addresses? Did he collect your email? If they ask that question, it just takes this mysterious figure, Jim McIntyre, that came out of nowhere. It just takes them out because end of the day, yeah, Nick was the one that got our email addresses. So now you have him being the person to have masterminded and messaging all of these people. I never heard it. Maybe if someone else heard it, you can let me know. But I never heard it. And I thought that if they asked that question, would have just closed that hole completely. But we don't know. So now Jim McIntyre could be a real person that was messaging these people without Nick's knowledge. For example, you see where I'm trying to get at, because at least if Nicholas had their email, we can assume that he would definitely have their phone number. We can always assume that by default. But email addresses, think about it. Think about it. They have presented their case. I'm talking about the state now. They have presented their case from day one. The hunters go as thorough as what time did you go to report this? What time? How far from the all of those things? They had the police ask the hunter question, log every hunter who was on the scene, log the time, or that thoroughness. And yet, when it comes to this, just to close that hole, even if it seems like a mundane question and a stupid question to us, and this prosecutor, I can't even say that she doesn't do this. She has asked very mundane and very obvious questions in the past. So I'm really shocked that he wouldn't just ask this question when there's a glaring hole right here in regards to the security being the ones to be messaging the parents about all of this. And he just doesn't ask the question, did Nick ever take your email? Does Nick know your emails? If the answer is no, I can see it destroying their case a little bit. No. But at the same time, if it's yes, it makes your case. So I can see why a lawyer might not attempt to even want to know this question. But the thing is, why would you not ask this question during pre-trial when you have time with the witness? It's not like Doug Weinstein is going to be there with you when you ask these questions. You have your own privacy to do this. Wait, is that how it works? I could be wrong. Wait, am I missing? Because they would have questionings. It wouldn't be deposition. It wouldn't be, maybe I'm confusing it with depositions. I don't think it would be depositions, but they will have their own private questionings and they will have to turn it over to the state. So yes, based on what's that law? Brady. Based on Brady, they would have to turn over the communications. So they would have asked this question on pre-trial as well. So I'm guessing that they never asked this question, or maybe they did, and the answer was not favorable during pre-trial and during the questioning phase, and they're bringing it in now in trial, and they just don't want to let the jury hear this question, and maybe the defense don't want to let the jury hear the question, but it's a question that I was like, oh, please ask it. Please just ask it, just to put this Jim McIntyre person to bed. But based on what happens during pre-trial and all of these things, a DA investigator would probably ask these questions. Like, I will say this because I'm going back to the Karen Reed case, because I remember Officer Barros he gave an interview in regards to the questions he was asked by the prosecution, and he said that they asked him those questions regarding the headlights before the trial, and in trial they asked him a different question, and apparently it was a Brady thing that they didn't pass on the information that was acquired, and this was by, I think, Mark Betterow made this point, that they asked the question showing the picture or showing on pre-trial to Officer Barros, but when it came to trial, the first trial they didn't show that picture. So Mark Betterow said that was a Brady violation, because that just changes the whole event, and they should have let the defense know that they asked this question this way or something like that. So that's where I'm guessing that if they asked that question, they would have had to turn it over to the defense, so I can see it being bad for both sides to ask that question. Yeah, absolutely. And I have to assume that it was asked during pre-trial. I have to assume it was asked. Both sides know the answer to this question. They're like, we're not going to touch it, so, but it's a question. It's a question. If I know that the answer is yes, they definitely have the email, I'm going gun ho. I wouldn't care, because it's a yes or no. It's a yes or no. If it's I don't know, maybe they have more of a vested interest to just leave it alone. But a yes or no, prosecution don't touch it, but defense touch it. Yes, defense touch it. Defense don't touch it, but prosecution touch it. So that's where I'm thinking. But anyway, that's all my my thoughts for today's case. Very interesting, in my opinion. Very, very interesting testimony. I don't know where it was going with that murder case part, but it was surprising for me to even to even hear the connection with the officers. But yeah, all the witnesses that gave testimony, I thought that the parents was very good for the prosecution. In my opinion, based on at least showing the time of death, or showing that like a possible time of death could have been sometime during Thanksgiving. And but yeah, a lot of questions is still up in the air in regards to the torso being found eaten by animals, and there was maggots on it, and yet it was just things going through my head. And I hope these questions are answered in the next few days of trial coming up. We have day 4 tomorrow. I cannot wait to bring the catch up tomorrow on day 4. We'll be live again from 11 p.m. UK time, but 6 p.m. Eastern time, or 5 p.m. Central time. So Wherever you're at, make sure you tune in to the Catch Up Court podcast, where we give you recaps. I go by the name of Heinz, your friendly neighborhood catch-up man, here to help you catch up on these legal cases. If you've missed this trial or just getting into it for the first time, hopefully these recaps helps you get up to speed so that you can maybe watch the full trial if you want, or you can just continue watching this recap if you cannot sit through the full trial, because it is 7 hours long. So I don't even blame you. I don't even blame you. That's why we are here. I am, like I said, I go by the name of Heinz, the friendly neighborhood catcher man. I will see you on the next episode of the Catch Up podcast, which is basically tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Bye for now. Take care of yourself. Peace. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Catch Up Court podcast. Don't forget to like this video, share this video, and subscribe for more legal cases that we cover on this channel. We do nothing but cover legal cases and true crime on here. You can also check out our playlist that we have of all of our content. They're all available in the playlist option. Make sure you go check that out. So make sure that you hurry back and catch up with us. See you on the next one. Bye for now.